All right, on the bench today, out of a 2010 Mercedes E550 with a 5.5, we have the 722-9 4Matic. So this actually is the first 4Matic that I got on the bench that I'm going to be tearing down. I've done plenty of work on the transfer cases with the transmission still on the car, and the handful of 722-9s that I've built were all just regular rear wheel drive. So this actually is the first 4Matic, so we'll be able to take the whole transfer case. What I'm going to do is, when we start the teardown process, is I'm going to take the transfer case apart first, get all that out, we can see all that, and then going to tear it down like a regular transmission. But I want to get the transfer case apart first. So what's going on with this? We have an issue in fourth gear. I didn't drive the car, but we do have some codes present. Let me just get to that part of the code scan. I think it was either maybe running away in fourth or binding in fourth. But the oil doesn't smell too good. Obviously, it looks like this transmission has been worked on already. So we got for transmission, we got a P0894. The gear is implausible or transmission is slipping. I got a P0734. The gear is implausible or the transmission is slipping, gear 4. And I have also a P0606, component Y38N4, Y3/8N4, fully integrated transmission control module, VGS, is faulty. So with this, I have my master kit. You can really only buy one because a lot of these are one-sided clutches, and there's two sets of steels in this for the BR clutch and the B2 clutch. So when you order a banner kit, you get steels and everything. And I also have a piston kit, and I have which I will show you, and I also have a valve body from Mercedes, only because it's telling me with this code that the VGS module is faulty. So instead of just getting the plate, I elected to go for the whole valve body, because this transmission, first of all, has been done before, has an issue in fourth gear. So I'd rather just do that than just go for a conductor plate. And I have the valve body here, so I can actually unbox that and show you. It's not easy. Many of you may know or not know. It's not easy. You really can't get the conductor plate or valve bodies for these transmissions. And I come to find out even the 722-6s, because it's part of the anti-theft system. So you need a special license. You got to have documents signed by the person that owns the car. They have to have it notarized. You need a copy of the driver's license, copy of the title. And that's for the, I believe also for the intelligent servo module, which is on the side, which is this. It's called an ISM. It bolts on, the linkage sticks out here, and this bolts on, and then you have your wire go to it, and then when you select drive or reverse, it moves. And also the valve body with the conductor plate or the conductor plate by itself. Now, I had a Sprinter here that we did some work on that actually came back with some codes, and we came to the conclusion that the TCM was no good. And also on those Sprinters, those harnesses, very common problem to go bad. We replace the harnesses when we do those too. The transmission harness. That's also, not the harness, but the transmission control module is also part of the anti-theft system, and that's on Sprinters. So that was another, had to go through a whole process to get that as well, and that has to be programmed as well. So, all right, so getting back to this, so I think what we're going to find when we open this, the K2 clutch, which is basically the input shaft, that's on in 4th through 7th, and this has an issue. I was told on the 3/4 shift. You know, somebody said it was the repair shop we got it from said when it hit 4th gear, there's nothing. When we drove it here, it kind of felt like, you know, it was, I didn't drive it, but they said it kind of felt like it bound up in 4th. So when I pulled the converter out to put the transmission on the bench, you know, the oil didn't smell the greatest, so I'm sure we're going to find that K2 clutch probably no good. It also says here slip 2-3 shift, but I think fourth gear actually is the problem. Alright, so I think that's about it. So what we'll do is I'll get a little closer and we'll pull these off. We're going to pull the flange off, then we got the cover. Then you can actually see how this transfer case gets disassembled, and you know how I do it in the car as well. We'll take the cover off, then there's going to be a snap ring. We're going to take this cover off here, then there'll be a snap ring with another cover, take that off. There'll be an inverted long torque bolt that we take out, that'll take out the planet and everything, and then we take this cover off and the gears are in here. And also this is what the front drive shaft goes onto. This is okay, and this is what normally goes bad. There is also a seal behind this that I'm going to change, that you got to knock in from the inside. And when you're doing this in the car and you got to put the drive shaft, you know, you got to spline this into the master spline of the drive shaft, the front drive shaft. It's not that easy to see. You really can't see, and you got to be very, very careful. You know, honestly, on one of them that I did, you try to be as careful as you can, but I nicked the seal going in. So when it's back together and we're running it, it's leaking. So we had to take it back apart again. I had to put another seal in it. But you kind of like working in the blind. You know, it's very hard to get the front drive shaft out while it's in the car. But, and the way it is actually is you would think you have to get it centered, but the drive shaft actually is off to one side. So as you're putting this in, you got to kind of move it and push it in. But I put some trans gel around the spring of the seal. I load that up with STP and try to be as careful as I can. And the other gear that you'll see, you know, all that has to be together, so you can't see from one side. And it's very, very hard to see. I just try to go very careful and slide it in. And I try to support the drive shaft. Oh, I have one here changed. You know, I try to support the drive shaft maybe with the jack, so it's kind of not just laying down. So now I have to, you know, kind of hold that up and push the gear in. It's a little bit of a pain, but I support this with the jack to keep it up, so I don't really have to worry about that. And then I just try to slide that gear in, you know, around that seal as best I can. But hey, it happened one time. But so that seal is going to be changed, and I get that from Mercedes. That doesn't come in the overhaul kits. All right, so I think that's about it. And this also, this transmission is common oil for the transmission and the transfer case. It's kind of built in. The case of the transmission is part of the transfer case, so it's all common oil. Has a drain here. This transmission, I'm going to say, was not drained, so this thing is probably going to be all full of oil. So what actually I'll do, you know what I'll do? Maybe before we get going, let me just open up that drain plug here. Let's see if I have that size. All right, let me just grab a socket here. Let me open up this drain plug. All right, so this is an 18, I believe. Okay. All right, let me just go and grab my ratchet. I left that underneath the lift where I was working last night. I will be right back. All right, let me just open this drain plug here. Maybe I'll just let this drain for a few minutes. Yeah, this thing is definitely burnt out. So that's draining out. We'll get some of the fluid out. I'll actually leave this plug out for now. Okay, so let me get set up here. And we'll start tearing this down. So once again, here is the what's called the intelligent servo module, and if you buy one of these, this would have to be programmed as well. But that's not so easy to get either. You know, it's all part of the anti-theft system. And they want you to have a special locksmith license. Most of the people won't sell it to you. Most of the dealers won't sell it to you. If you find somebody that has this special license, they can get it. They have to sell it to them. All right, so let me just get set up for this, and we'll start tearing this down. We're going to do the transfer case first, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so first we're going to take this 30 millimeter 12-point flange nut. That usually comes right off. You know, it's peed over in a couple of spots, so I just, you know, knock that out of the way, the nut will come right off. Okay, here is the flange. All right, so next thing we're going to get these T30s out. Okay. These are all kind of stuck in there because of the sealant that they use, but I'll get them out. Not a big deal. Okay. All right, these are also on dowels. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pain to come off, but okay. So now we have this. Here is the cover. You got a bearing in here, and you got a rear seal here, which will be changed. Okay, so now we're going to get a scribe, and we're going to take, there's a snap ring here we're going to take out. You know what, that I think I left over there too. It's very busy here. Oh, here it is. It actually is never slow, to be honest with you. Okay, so we're going to get the snap ring out. And then this cover. going to slide off. Alright, so now we got a couple of bearings here which are going to stay, and we got a torque bolt, inverted torque bolt. Alright, so what size is that? It's a 10. So let's see if we can get this loose. I really don't want to use a gun on this if I don't have to, but I may have to just do it to break it loose. Alright. So I'm going to go very carefully. Okay. Very easy, very carefully. There's the long bolt. Okay, so now we're going to take this out. This is the ring gear. Okay, and this also splines into the output shaft of the trans. Okay, and you got your two bearings here. Alright, now I'm going to take the planet out, which is going to have the clutches on the back side here. Here we go, that's what gives you your 4Matic. And these things are kind of held down, you know, can't even turn them, so it's held down. Okay, and now we got to get the 45s. They're either 40 or 45. I think they're 45s. Let's see. As many as working these, I can never remember. Yeah, they are. Okay. Yeah, these dowels. This dowel's knocked in. This one is okay. But I don't think I have any way of knocking this back out. It's not flush, but okay. So now the 45s. Two bolts down here I'm going to take out next. They're going to be longer than all the rest. Okay, that's these two. I'm going to clean these up when I put this back together. I've got to clean all these bolts up. God. Alright, so that should be it for those. Now let's take that cover off. sure you guys can see. All right, so this, I'm going to pull this back. Well, let's pull this out. Okay. All right, so just check your bearings, check your races. Okay, and here we're going to have a spacer and a shim. Okay, all right, so that's it. Okay, the little shim is going to go first and then the spacer. Okay, this looks good. And then here is the gear. It goes bad all the time. This one is good. All right, now if you can see, here is, let me see if I can just zoom in on it a little bit. Here is the seal, and I have one because I keep one. Here is the seal that I'm going to change. I have that also along with the valve body and the master kit. All right, so now we're just going to pretty much tear this down as if it was just a regular transmission. All right, so let me just kind of get rid of this oil, move the transfer case stuff off to the side, and then we can continue tearing this transmission down. So I will be right back. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the bell housing bolts out except for two. And then we're going to flip it, get the pan down, because we're going to get the B3 tube out, and then we can slide everything out of the front. So let's get everything out except for two on the bell housing, which is torque 45. These will come right out, no problem. Alright, we'll skip one. Okay. Okay. So we've got all except for two. Alrighty. Like I said, this thing is probably full of oil. Alright. Draining. Alright, so we're going to use that inverted torque again. So this is, let me just get this one out. That's the only one that's different. The rest of them look like this. And then you have one that looks like this because there's a shield that goes up and protects the connector and wires and stuff. Same thing on the 722.5. Okay, here's the pan. Here's the standpipe, which can come off because I want to run the pan through the tank. There's different ones, so if you order one, just make sure you order through the VIN number. Alright, filter. Doesn't look like an OE filter. I like to go filtering on these. Probably a new pan. These pans do tend to rot out, no magnets or anything. Okay. Alright, so let's take the D10 off here. Now we're going to get the 1230 bolts out. These are all aluminum. You know, when you buy this new valve body setup, sometimes it comes with new bolts and a new B3 tube. I gotta see if it has it, you know, I don't remember seeing it. But of course they like you to change them if you have them. Okay, so now we want to be careful because I was talking to the guy that's going to do the programming, and he may need to hook up to this one first to see, or possibly take information out or whatever they need to see. So we got to be careful taking this valve body out. These tend to get stuck in there. Even when it's in the car, it's not that easy to do. This thing isn't even moving. Sometimes I try to keep some pressure on the connector. There we go. Okay. I mean, this obviously was done before. It may have been a little easier than normal, but sometimes it's not so easy to get these things out. And if you want to do a plate swap, you know, they may need to take the information from the old plate, so you got to be careful with this. All right, so here is the B3 tube for the B3 clutch. Here's the valve body, which has got to go back as core. So we don't have to do anything with that. Okay. All right, what I think I'm going to do here. Maybe I could put this back with a couple of bolts. Just to stand it up, make it a little easier. It only takes 2 seconds just to put the pan back on. this out, slide everything out. Probably everything's going to come out at once, I'm sure. Alright, so we got B1, clutch is in the pump. Here's the K1. Alright, that is going to go here. Here's the B3 and the B3 tube. You're going to line up. Like that. And here's your ring gear and hubs. Bearing goes there. Here's K2. And yes, clutch is smoked. K2 clutch is smoked. We'll take a look at that. So there's our problem. This should slide out. Okay, make it nice and easy. We got the K3 clutch here. Take a look at it. Then we got the BR and the B2. So let's get the snap ring out, the BR clutch out. Alright, I should have taken the two bolts out that hold the B2 clutch, and I forgot. So now we can zip the pan off. Get those two out, and the transmission will actually be chunked down. Okay. B2 clutch. And here is your park gear, exciter ring. And that's it. Transmission is stripped. Okay. So once again, I'm going to get rid of the case. I'm going to get rid of the oil. And we're going to take everything apart, take a look at the frictions. And then I'll show you what I have so far. I think the only thing I don't have, which I totally forgot to order, was my filter. But that's okay. I'm going to be working on this for a little bit anyway. Alright, so let me kind of get organized here, and I'll be back in a minute. We'll finish it up. Okay, so let's take a look at our problem first, the K2. Alright, so we can get this ring gear off, take the snap ring out. Lift the drum out. Okay. Here's the planet. You got 3 rings here. You also have a bearing down here, which I'm going to take off. Like these things are totally smoked. Looks like this, alright, so we got a, might have to actually replace this whole entire drum assembly. Yeah, this whole thing is, does not look good. Alright, so we got a bearing here for that. Snap ring shot. Totally closed up. Nothing left. And what happened, I think this seems like this piston. Alright, so here's our wavy. I probably have one of these. 722.6 possibly may be the same. But this whole piston is up. I'm gonna have to, this is all that has burned on it. And the piston is sticking up like it came up too high and it couldn't return. So I'm gonna have to take this apart, and some of this stuff again is the same as 722.6, and if that's the case, I'll probably reuse the piston over again, but the inner one I'm probably gonna change. And just want to get this bearing out here. Okay. Alright, here is the bearing. Very carefully. And these rings. I'm going to change these rings as well. Alright, so here's our problem. K2 clutch, it's on in 4th through 7th. No good. Alright, B2. Transmission takes off on the B2. Let's take a look at the K3. First we're going to get these rings off. Going to get the snap ring out. Okay, then we have a bearing, a couple of races and a bearing in the middle. So this goes down first, looks like a little hat, and then the bearing, race, and snap ring. Same setup as on a 722.6. Okay. There's the planet. I'm going to clean all this up here with a K2 clutch rides. You got a washer bearing in here, open face bearing. That these can fall out, so just keep it on. You got a bearing race here. All right. You also have another bearing that I'm going to take off, so it does not get damaged. And then you have 1, 2, 3 more rings on this, and just make sure these spin okay. Alright. On the 722.6, it used to be there's a sprig in here, but this does not have that. But we're still going to take it out. Get the big snap ring in here. Okay, there we go. So slide out. You got a bearing and a race, sun gear and a hub, Okay, you got a couple of O-rings here, and you got another big bearing there. All right, let's take a look at the K3. K3 is burnt, but I do have a banner kit. And I think whatever I'm going to need for this, I can probably find in my 722.6 box as far as snap rings and stuff like that. Okay. And this is the case in the clutch, the clutch in the case, the VR clutch. All right, we got B3. Very nice. Also has a molded piston, which I have the piston kit. We got the K1. Got a bearing here. All right, that also clutch is no good. Also a molded piston. And then we got the B1. Not bad. All right, so we're going to take the 45 Torx out here and get the body and gears out, and then we're going to flip it, and there's torque 30s on the other side to get the stator out. Okay. Now, I'm going to tighten two of them back down just a couple of turns. Go. All right, this really is not that great. I do not like this pump at all. It's a huge lip here, and these gears really are not that good. Yeah, now this really is not that good. That could be why this thing burned up, losing the pressure in the higher gears. Wait, and get this pump a shot. Yeah, even here, it's all scored up here. All right, so this pump is no good. 722.6 pump. This has a bushing. 722.6 pump. Pretty sure it is the same. I believe they're all the same. But the only issue is now I've got to see if I can find a bell housing. That may be a problem. taken all these external, the external bolts around the inside to separate. Pump I know I have, and whatever I'm going to need for that K2 drum, even around here the drum is all burnt up. I got no place to pry on this. Separate it. I got all the bolts out. Is on there. Things get stuck on the plate. All right, so I'm hitting this thing around, trying to get it to loosen up. I think I finally got it. Okay. All right, got the piston, P2 piston in there. I'm happy gets stuck on this. Well, this is going to be changed. Okay. So the bell housing, I got to see what I can find. This bell housing is 100% no good. I do have. I'll get the casting numbers off of it. And I actually have one on the shelf. If it's the same, I don't know. I gotta see what casting numbers they're looking for. And then I should be able to hopefully find something. Okay, so this is no good. All right, so I think that's about it for this 2010 E550 4Matic with, again, the gas station that sent it here, the repair shop that sent it here, said when it hits fourth gear there was nothing there, running away. We drove it and it kind of felt like it was binding up and then releasing, but you know, 100% K2 clutch is our problem. So let me make a little room here now, and I want to show you what I got as far as parts. Okay, so just give me a few minutes here and I'll be back. I'll show you what I got so far. Okay, so I've got my piston kit here from Transtech, my 3 molded pistons. Banner kit, which actually is a master kit. So here's my Transtech overhaul. Here's all my clutches. The stuff is falling apart. And under here, these are all the clutches. You know, a lot of them are single-sided. And here are the steel plates they give you. And here is a new pump plate that they give you. So it's a nice, complete kit. And here is that for that transfer case seal, the front seal for the transfer case. That does not come in the kit. Okay. Valve body. This, of course, has to be programmed. There's the new valve body that's going in. Of course, you order this, it's all VIN specific. And that's it. 2010 E550 722.9 4Matic. Running away fourth. Found the K2 clutch is smoked, as well as the pump is no good, the bell housing is no good. Parts of that, the internals on the K2 drum, the balance piston and stuff seems like it's no good, but I have that. That shouldn't be an issue. And that's about it. So I'm going to get started on this and starting to get it cleaned up. I actually have an online seminar today I got to tune into in a couple hours. So let me get started on this, do what I can do before the seminar starts. Okay. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you next one.